move in and show you what we've got here. Keep in mind that since it is November, the trees ain't looking so hot. Plant growth in general is not looking too great. A lot of things have died off. Whoop, I almost fell over there. But we still got quite a bit of vegetation kicking, and I'll show you what's around. So this is a forest garden, so to speak. We've got the different layers of a forest represented here. We've got everything from our tree layer to, well, we don't have the bush layer in yet. That's going to be planted in the spring. We have the herbaceous layer. We have vines growing in the form of grapes. Herbaceous would be your, you know, like right there, you've got some Swiss chard. We've got mints and clovers and onions, perennial onions, thyme. We've got a root layer, a perennial root layer of horseradish, some burdock, a few other perennial roots, and we will be planting annuals in amongst this area. We've got a ground cover of strawberries right there. Hopefully that zoom didn't make you a little nauseous. Basically what we're trying to do with this forest garden, sunflowers right there, is keep grass out of the picture, and thistle, which we haven't had to deal with luckily, a few other plants, a few other aggressive plants that aren't too beneficial or a hazard. Like the thistle is beneficial to us, but as any gardener will know, thistle is not friendly to deal with in the garden. So we usually just weed it and drop it right where it was, maybe bury it with some mulch. Thistle we tend to make compost tea out of. Look up compost tea if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. This is a nectarine tree. We've got trees spaced 20 to 40 feet apart in this configuration. Nectarines aren't supposed to grow in this climate. This is zone 5 in Canada. We're in Ontario. Nectarine will hopefully overwinter. This is the first year that we've planted the trees in this plot. There's Hershey, our little four-legged friend. Some Swiss chard, some strawberries. We've got a ground cover of clover in the paths, or most of the paths. We ran out of seed at a certain point. The clover is hopefully there to suppress grass, to fix nitrogen for the availability of other plants. We could chop it for a mulch. It's white clover though, it doesn't grow too tall. Here we have a globe artichoke, not to be confused with Jerusalem artichoke. Again, first year that that's been in there, and we'll see if it overwinters. We had a heavy mustard crop, a volunteer wild mustard crop in here, and we were harvesting the edible flowers. And I'm sure it was a nice buffet for the bees. Trying to tell the bees what we've got going on here. That's why we've left a few asters in the mix, which are still flowering. This is another nectarine tree, doing a little better than that one down the way. On each tree we have a combination of either mint or thyme, and each tree definitely has a ring of horseradish planted around it. The horseradish, sorry, I just saw while I'm here, I'm going to show you. This is some curly dock, which we will use. It's a medicinal iron supplement. It's also a good dynamic accumulator, so it has deep taproot that accumulates nutrients. We take the leaves, which are the store of those nutrients, and the leaves often get quite a lot bigger than this, but just to show you. And then we throw it to our fruit trees for nutrient accumulation, or nutrient distribution, I should say. So here we have a cherry tree. There's two cherry trees, one in the foreground, one in the background. They're going dormant. These are sweet cherry trees. Again, something we're not supposed to be able to grow in this climate, but we'll see how they do. I just noticed some thyme, so I'm going to zoom in there. Hopefully that thyme will spread and become a nice ground cover. Thyme's good because it is antifungal. This is our blackened, frost-killed fava bean bed. Fava beans were there to fix nitrogen as well as provide a crop for us. Coming around here we have a self-seeded Jerusalem artichoke. Didn't plant that one, it just kind of came in from nature's, I don't know, portal. Here's another globe artichoke next to the Jerusalem artichoke. Funny how that is. Here we have some borage, again self-seeded, came in from who knows where. I don't know that it, yeah, it doesn't look like it got far enough into its growth cycle to spread seed, which is a shame. But I'm sure the bees made good use of it. Another cherry tree here. This by far was the best globe artichoke. I know that some of the leaves are dying off, but you can see, you can get an idea of how well it was growing. We're going to cut the artichokes back down to maybe an inch of stem, and then mulch it really heavy with like a foot of hay, and hopefully they come back next spring and live on as a perennial vegetable for us. I'm going to just back away a little bit. Here is a peach bush. I'm not going to let the peaches get too much higher than they are right now. I'm going to keep them growing as a bush and then plant trees in between. Other bushes that we're thinking of putting in here are currants, gooseberries, maybe some cranberry, though I don't know if it'll be wet enough here, serviceberry, and various nitrogen-fixing non-edible bushes, maybe some alder for pole wood or for chop and drop mulch. Here's another peach tree. It's interesting to see the difference in growth between them. Down here we have Swiss chard, growing nice and purpley. Doing really well. A lot of the Swiss chard in the rest of the flatter gardens and other areas have all died off, but the ones on these mounds are still kicking. Doing pretty well, considering we're into November. There's another one right there. Here we have the remnants. Well, it's not the remnants, it's just gone dormant. This is a grape plant that I'm going to let grow as a bush. That's how they used to do it before the vine culture as we know it today took over. There's another grape right there. Interestingly, this peach here has gone dormant while those other ones that we passed by are still rocking the leaves. I wonder if it's colder here or maybe that peach just isn't as healthy. It's the same variety, I know that much. Here's a Flemish Beauty pear that's dropped most of its leaves. looking for mint right now, but I can't see any just yet. I think we might find some around the way. Down here we have some clover growing with some perennial onions. These are Egyptian onions. Here's what the little baby onions look like. So this will fall over and plant itself. Another Flemish Beauty pear tree. Right here we have wild spinach that's gone into dormancy. Or actually it's an annual, so it's dead. But it has gone to seed. And wild spinach is a crop that we harvest for our CSA boxes. We also do, we also made a pesto out of them and marketed that. Oh, here we have some milkweed gone to seed. That's what the seeds look like. There's Hershey. Hey Hirsch, how you doing? Oh, good boy. Coming around to the last bed, we've got 3 pear trees. Again, the Flemish Beauty pear. You might be wondering why we have all the same variety of pear and cherry and nectarine in here. Well, they're all self-fertile. These particular varieties, not all pear and cherry are self-fertile, but these ones are. We eventually might pop in some pollinators in the same area. That even though this tree is on the windiest side, or the most exposed side of the garden, it's doing better than the rest of them. Microclimates are a funny, funny thing. Okay, here we are at the northwestern edge of the 100-foot by 50-foot Hugelkultur plot. And we're just gonna, I found some mint finally, so I'm just gonna show you that. Mint, like thyme, is antifungal. Hopefully it's antifungal, maybe I'm just having a false memory. We're also going to plant some oregano. Hershey's found the horseradish popping up. We planted the horseradish dormant. Sorry, Hershey's trying to lick me, or lick the camera as an extension of me. We planted the horseradish as dormant rootstock, got from a friend, and some of the leaves have popped up, but not all. Last but not least, this is what the trenches look like, or look like. So this is what we dug underneath every mound that you saw. It's about 3.5 feet deep, about 4 to 5 feet wide. We put the soil off to the side, put the this is brush here. We put logs and then brush in the mounds, and then put the soil back on. You want to make these mounds about 1 foot or 2 higher than you want them to end up being. What I mean by that is the mounds that you just saw were all about 5 feet high, 4 to 5 feet high when we first made them, and they sunk 1 to 2 feet over the last year. So just plan for that if you're going to make these. These beds are awesome for retaining water. We only had to water these during the 3-week drought that we had. They're good for just about any plant, anything from a tree to a potato to flowers to root crops and tomatoes, and we had melons in here that did pretty decently. Yeah, they're amazing. They're, as I was saying before, they're also a warm microclimate, or they create a warm microclimate. than as opposed to having a flat ground area. You can, I'm just going to hop up here actually while I'm here. You can walk up the middle path, and if you have dwarf or semi-dwarf fruit trees, here I am up at the top, you can keep them pruned from up here and pick from up here. And it's also nice to feel a bit taller than you normally are. I don't know why. So that's the Hugelkultur plot. I hope you enjoyed our fall tour, and we'll see you again in the spring once the growth is back and lush and crazy.